Today's episode was sponsored by Incogni. Of course I'll be at Thanksgiving dinner, Mom. Of course I'll be at Thanksgiving brunch, Dad. Of course I'll be at Thanksgiving midnight snack, Aunt Linda. Oh, so none of my siblings are coming. Just your bowling team. Yep, just the two of us. Okay, well, I'm glad to know you'd approve if we added a third dad, but we haven't. Oh, that's awesome. I didn't even know he got paroled. Oh. Okay, yeah, well, don't worry. I'm not a narc. I think traditionally the host provides the turkey, but sure, I'll see what I can do. Can I just bring fruit, or does it have to be an edible arrangement? Sure, like portobello, or... Jesus, Aunt Linda, no, I don't do that. No, officers, I haven't heard from him since the Kmart incident. Yeah, if anything changes, I'll let you know. With the holidays coming up, I'm on my phone constantly, and I don't have time to be dealing with robocalls on top of that, which is why I use Incogni. Basically, the reason that robocalls happen is data brokers. If you've ever given your information out online, there's a chance that a data broker has taken it and sold it to a bunch of companies who put it on their lists and use it to contact you, even though you wish they wouldn't. Data brokers are required to remove you from their lists if you ask them to, but unfortunately there are so many of them and they're so hard to contact that can be very difficult to do on your own. And that's where Incogni comes in. With Incogni, all you have to do is put in a little bit of information about yourself and they take care of the rest. I've done it, and it genuinely is that easy. Right now, Incogni is offering my viewers 60% off on an annual plan, so follow the link below and use code WillyMuse to start taking back your personal data today. With Incogni, the only annoying phone calls I have to deal with this holiday season are from the people that I love. Hello, Aunt Linda. I don't have $1,000 in cash. Okay, that's fine. I just won't participate in the tournament. As a D-list content creature, I'm always looking for new ways to earn revenue. Content creator. That was an autocorrect, but it fits. I've sold t-shirts, I've done ad reads, I've had people just give me money on Patreon. Not gonna lie, I like that one the best. Still, there's always more things I could be trying. And I realized recently that there's one major avenue that I have not yet explored. Foot pics. As I understand it, there are a lot of people who enjoy looking at pictures of feet so much that they're willing to pay for them. And if that's a market I could potentially break into, it frankly seems stupid that I wouldn't at least try. I watched a video once about a successful YouTuber who started selling feet pics on a whim, and that turned into his main source of income, which... probably wouldn't be my first choice of places that this could take me, but, a dollar's a dollar. I firmly believe in giving the people what they want, and if some of you are out there watching my videos and thinking, man, I really want to know what his toes look like, then who am I to deprive you of the opportunity? It's not really my thing, but if it's yours and you have a valid credit card, then I feel like we should be able to work something out. Of all the ideas I've ever had, this one honestly feels like one of the least stupid. Although that said, there is one potential hiccup to it, and that's that my feet are really, really gross. If you were to ask me what my biggest insecurity is, I would say my feet without any hesitation. And that's saying something, because there's a lot of competition there. I guess if I had to describe the main problem, it would be dryness. Although what exactly the source of that dryness is, I still don't know, despite having seen many doctors about it over the course of my life. They seriously are bad enough that I've needed to seek medical advice on them. A lifetime without moisture has left my trotters discolored and cracked and scarred and, if we're being completely honest, frequently bloody. Sometimes they just start to bleed. I have no doubt that there's someone out there who would be willing to buy pictures of my feet in their natural state, but it would only be as a part of some depraved fetish that I personally want no part of. Still, it's not hopeless. There have been times where I've managed to get my tootsies to a passable place. It's just not sustainable because it takes a lot more work than I'm willing to put in every day for the rest of my life. That said, though, I think I could probably keep it going for a month. So that's what I'm gonna do. For the next 30 days, I'm gonna do everything I can to get my dog's photo ready. And once I've done that, I'm gonna start raking in the big bucks on OnlyFans. So, yeah, this is gonna be a weird video. Let's get started. Okay, so full disclosure, this is actually more like week 3. I think that for this video to work, I need to show you guys a before picture of my feet to show you what we're working with. But the sad truth is that I am too deeply ashamed of what they look like in their natural state to actually do that. As such, before I give you guys the before, I decided to give myself a couple of weeks to get them slightly more presentable, you know? Sort of like when you find out someone is coming over, so you scramble to put all your clothes away and tidy up. But with feet. And after giving myself that grace period, here is where I'm starting out. Which, you know, maybe not that bad, but I do feel like when I tell you guys what I had to do in order to get them there, a lot of you will be wondering why they don't look better. Okay, so first and most importantly, this is Miracle Foot Repair. I don't know what's in it exactly, but every time in my life that I've gotten my feet looking halfway decent, it's been because of this stuff. So I've been slathering a shit ton of it on me every night. This is a Dr. Scholl's Severe Cracked Heel Repair Stick. It's not quite as effective as the Miracle Foot Repair, but it's a lot easier to apply because it doesn't require me to get my hands all gloopy, so I've been using it in the morning for touch-ups to make sure that my feet stay hydrated. This is antifungal spray. I don't think that I have athlete's foot, but many people over the course of my life have told me that they think that I do, so just to make sure I have all my bases covered, I'm going to be using this as needed. This right here is Scar Gel. A lifetime of scratching at my itchy, dry feet has turned my soles into the corporeal equivalent of when you try to unspool a new roll of toilet paper, but only a little strip comes off, so then you end up scratching at it to try and get a full ply, but then there's just all these exposed layers. They're very scarred, is my point. I'm not entirely sure if this stuff works, but I'm hoping that maybe it'll make my skin look a little more uniform. These are foot peels. They're kind of just booties, but they're lined with acid, so I'm wearing a pair of them for an hour a week to basically just peel the skin off of my feet. I'm not entirely sure how much I trust these, but they've been suggested to me many times, so. This big boy right here is a foot bath. I used this video to justify buying myself a foot bath. According to the packaging, soaking your feet after a peel is said to speed up the process. So I'm giving my feet a bath in a combination of water and something called tea tree oil for about an hour a week while I watch TV. I don't know if this will actually help anything, but seeing as my issue is dry feet, I can't imagine that getting them wet is going to hurt matters. These right here are socks. I need to remember to wear these. I don't always do that. And finally, this is a power drill. There are a lot of products on the market that claim to help you file dead skin off your feet, but in my experience, they are all for cowards. They move very slowly and gently, almost as though whoever's making them thinks that making a product that's too good at shaving off people's skin might be a liability of some sort. Using any of those to try and fix my feet is about as effective as using a teddy bear to try and slay a dragon. I'm not even joking. I've broken a bunch of them straight out of the box simply by trying to use them for their intended purpose. The most success I've ever had at sanding down my dogs has been by using a literal sanding tool. I've equipped this with some sort of attachment that seems to be used for evening out spackle. And basically every now and then I'm just gonna kinda, and then hopefully that will remove all the skin I spent so much time trying to moisturize, so I can start this whole process all over again. And yeah, I've been doing this for about 3 weeks now, and it's gotten some results. So hopefully if I keep it up for another 3 weeks, I'll end up with the sort of feet that people will pay to see. I doubt it, but time will tell. Last time, I gave you guys a little rundown of everything I've been doing to get my feet looking their best, and as I was saying it aloud, I realized that it didn't really seem like all that much. So for this check-in, in order to explain why I needed to make an entire video to get myself to incorporate these seemingly basic changes into my daily routine, I decided to give you guys a little rundown of why all those things suck, and I hate them. Going in order, I'll start by talking about why I hate all my various creams and sprays, and that's mainly because they're gross. I don't particularly like feeling slimy, so I don't relish drenching my feet in slime twice a day. And things have actually gotten a lot slimier since last we spoke. I went away for a few days and I couldn't find Miracle Foot Repair where I was, so instead I had to settle for something called Bag Balm. It's kind of like a looser version of petroleum jelly, and unfortunately it is quite effective, so I've incorporated it into my routine. I'm not happy about it. It adds like a solid 2 minutes to the process every night because getting that shit off of my hands is a whole to-do. And what makes applying all this slime to my body that much worse is the fact that the part of my body I'm applying it to is the absolute most inconvenient one. If the section of me I were trying to moisturize were my nose or my ears or my taint or my knees or literally any other part of me, things would be way easier because I could just apply the lotion and go about my day. That is not the case with feet though, because in order to go about my day, I need to use my feet, and that becomes complicated when they're covered in a lot of gross shit. The obvious solution to this is of course to put socks on after, but fuck that. Not only do I hate socks, as I previously alluded to, but I also think that they cause as many problems as they solve. For one thing, they end up covered in whatever I've just put on my feet, and while I prefer that to getting it on my carpet, I'd still rather not have it on my socks. Also, they don't really keep me from getting it on the carpet. The sheer amount of goop I need to use in order to combat the dryness of my feet means that a little bit of it usually ends up seeping through. I find that when I use the Bag Balm in particular, I end up leaving these little oily footprints everywhere I go that I am not a fan of. What's more is that I'm starting to go through socks at an alarming rate. I try to apply my concoction twice a day, which means that I go through 2 pairs a day, which is a much higher demand than my current supply can accommodate. And to make matters worse, I've lost quite a few of the pairs that I do have in my bed sheets. My innate distaste for wearing them means that while I'm trying to fall asleep, I usually end up subconsciously kicking them off in an effort to get comfortable. The foot of my bed is currently a graveyard for wrinkled socks that are crusted over with dry moisturizer. And if that didn't sound bad enough, many of those gross socks are missing their partner. I don't know where they went, and I blame ghosts. As for the chemical peels, I think I'm going to stop doing those because I think they may actually be making my feet worse. Like, I kind of thought that it would be that you'd put it on, and then you'd wait an hour, and then your dry skin would come off all at once. But it's really more like you put it on, and then you wait an hour, and then nothing happens. Until 3 days later, at which point your skin starts to flake off and look like it's been attacked by some sort of flesh-eating bacteria. There's like a 10-minute window between when the old skin falls off and the new skin starts to dry, where they do make things slightly better. But as far as exfoliation is concerned, I think my power tool is the way to go. Which is not to say that it's without its problems. Like, don't get me wrong, going to town on my feet with a drill feels good as hell, but it's also deeply disgusting. It manages to turn the skin it shaves off into this fine dust, which unfortunately flies around the room with reckless abandon. My lungs have inhaled more dead foot skin in the past week than most people's will in a whole lifetime. I cannot imagine that it's been good for my health. Also, I just straight up can never use this drill for anything besides my feet ever again. I mean, that's not a huge issue because it's not like I'm doing a lot of power drilling in my spare time, but if I ever hire a handyman and they ask if I have a drill, I'm gonna have to say no because I cannot in good conscience hand that to another human being to use knowing where it's been. Still, all things considered, it is working. My feet do look better now than they did a week ago. Are they still horrid? Yes. But hopefully with another couple of weeks, I can get them where I want them. Since last we spoke, I've edited some of the footage I recorded in previous weeks, and it's caused me to wonder something. Why am I making this? I know that you're all watching this in the future, but why did none of you stop me? If there was ever a reason to invent time travel, it would be to come back and prevent the creation of this. This video is gross. That I thought that anyone would be interested in listening to me talk about my nasty ass feet for an hour is insane. I wonder sometimes why my channel isn't growing as much as I'd like it to, but if my instincts are bad enough that they led me to devoting an entire month of my life to making this, then I think that's my answer. Although to be fair, on paper I will contend that the idea for this isn't as bad as it turned out being. Even though I shouldn't have made it, I do get why I did. I'll peel back the curtain a little bit here and confess that this was never really about me starting an OnlyFans. Honestly, I just like making these types of videos because I only have to work on them a little each week, so I can do that and also work on something else, and then I end the month with a bit of a backlog. They don't do great, but they help my schedule, and more importantly, they help me improve my life. That part is true. The changes I've made because of these videos have allowed me to justify them even though they're probably not great for the health of my channel. So when it came time for me to start a new one, the question I asked myself is, what do I need to change? And the obvious answer was my feet. I'm not sure if I've made this clear yet, but they're disgusting. Of course, then I went to make it and realized that that concept was pushing it even by the low standards I have for these month-long experiments that I do. Like, I can justify them to a certain point, but I think that releasing a video called I rubbed lotion on my feet for 30 days would do so poorly that my channel might genuinely not be able to recover. So I did my best to figure out how to package it, and eventually the angle I came up with was that I'd be doing it to start an OnlyFans. That felt more interesting somehow. Because here's the thing, I'm not delusional. I know that this is a very difficult market to break into, and given that I have the sex appeal of a rotting whale corpse and feet that look like a rotting whale corpse, I was never actually expecting this to be anything more than a video. I thought maybe I'd make a few extra bucks from people who were driven by morbid curiosity, and other than that, this would just be a good way to force myself to moisturize. Unfortunately, I'm realizing now that there's only so much you can do to package something and make it appealing if what you're packaging is a steaming pile of dog crap. Eventually, people are going to realize that it stinks. I honestly considered scrapping this video altogether, but that would mean that I did work for nothing, and that is not something I'm willing to do. Instead, I'm going to stick this one out for one more week to see if I can learn some profound lesson by rubbing cow lube on my toes. So, yeah, if you think you can stick it out with me, I'd be eternally grateful, but if not, I completely understand. You know, I thought of something the other day that didn't even cross my mind when I started this. What if it does well? Don't get me wrong, that is a very big if. Normally, people are not interested in coming on these self-improvement journeys with me. That said, this one could be different. It will have OnlyFans in the title, and in my experience, that tends to pique people's interests. I talked about that YouTuber who started an OnlyFans a while back, and I've since realized that I do not know who that person is. I could not tell you their name, I could not tell you what they look like. The only things I could tell you about them are the vague things I remember from that video, because as far as I know, that video is the only teleaction I've ever had with them. Of however many videos they've released in their life, that was the only one that made it into my sphere and piqued my interest enough that I clicked on it. And that's actually kind of scary, because what if that happens to me? What if I release this video and all the people who normally watch my stuff see it and are like, Lily's starting an OnlyFans, that doesn't sound right. So they click it out of genuine curiosity, and enough of them do it that signals to the algorithm that this is something people are interested in, so it starts to share it to a bunch of new people who have no idea who I am. And they click it too. They see OnlyFans, and the lizard part of their brain thinks, hey, sex, I like that. Maybe not with the guy in the thumbnail, but hopefully he looks better in motion. Then they'll watch it for about 10 minutes until they get to the part where I mentioned that my feet will get so dry sometimes that they'll randomly start to bleed, and they'll think, wow, this is gross. Why am I watching this again? And then they'll move on to one of the billions of other things on this website that aren't about dry feet. And that'll be it. My one chance at making a first impression on thousands of people, and I'll have used it to ensure that the only thing they'll ever know about me is the last thing in the world that I want people to know about me. And again, I'm not saying this will definitely happen. I truly cannot overstress how poorly this series does, but it is a possibility, and I probably should have considered that before I started making this. And right now, some of you are probably thinking, but Willie, you have nothing to be ashamed of. You've been working so hard on your feet that they're probably beautiful by now, but no. Don't get me wrong, they're better. They're the closest thing to human feet I've ever had at the tip of my legs, but they're still not good. My plan for this final week was to get a pedicure, but the idea that someone would be forced to deal with my feet in their face in order to survive did not sit right with me. It felt cruel and dystopian, and there's no amount of money I could tip that would make up for it. And what's worse is that I've been cheating. The last 2 weeks of this was actually 4 weeks because I was busy, and I thought that giving myself a little more time might help with the final result. Combine that with the 2 extra weeks I gave myself at the beginning, and this is actually more like week 8. This month has been 2 months, and that still wasn't enough. Given the amount of work I put into them these past 8 weeks, I feel like they should be the sexiest goddamn feet that have ever walked this earth. But the best I've been able to get them to is fine. And even that is only temporary. I guess part of me kind of thought that at a certain point I'd just moisturize the dryness into submission, but that is not the case. It just keeps coming back. If I skip any part of my fairly strenuous foot routine, my soles will immediately crust over, and it'll be like all the work I've done to keep them decent just never happened. So yeah, this hasn't gone exactly as I hoped, but I'm gonna collect my thoughts and come back here for one final check-in, because who knows? Maybe there are some positives to me making this video that I'm just missing right now. Yeah, no, there aren't any positives. After 2 months of intensive moisturizing and drilling, all I'm left with are slightly better feet that aren't so much better that they make up for how embarrassed I am by them. And honestly, even calling them slightly better feels wrong to me, because I know deep down that they're not. One thing that these past 2 months really cemented for me is that unless there is some amazing breakthrough in the field of foot dryness, my feet are never going to be fixed. They can only really be treated. I know that the second I decide I can't keep up this insane routine, they're gonna revert back to their former disglory. Any improvements I've made to them kind of feel like a mask, because I know that under all that lotion, they're the same terrible feet that they've always been. And that's unfortunate, because there was a small part of me that kind of felt like this video was gonna be empowering, you know? I'd turn my least favorite part of my body into this great object of desire, and suddenly I'd learn to love myself and all my problems would be solved. I'd move to Hollywood, get discovered by someone in a food court, and before you know it, I'm America's sweetheart. That obviously didn't happen, and while I can't say that I'm not a little disappointed, I wouldn't say that this has been a total bust. I'm less itchy, my socks are bloodstain free, and I haven't had to walk on my tiptoes because of a painful gash in my heel for weeks. I'm happy I did this. It's just that in hindsight, I think I probably should have done it in private. I think what I learned making this video is that I probably shouldn't have made this video. And more importantly, that I super didn't have to make this video, which seems like it should be obvious, but screw you, it wasn't. If you've been watching my videos for a while, you've probably noticed that I have a habit of oversharing. Actually, you've probably noticed that even if this was the first video of mine you've ever seen. And there's a reason for that. I'm not entirely sure if there's a word for what I'm talking about, but I'd say that it exists somewhere between honesty and self-consciousness. I very much value the truth. I genuinely don't get the point of things if they're not rooted in it. Which is not to say that I don't lie, I do, but it's more to protect people's feelings or move the conversation with my Uber driver along. Other than that, though, I like to think that when it actually matters, I'm pretty consistent about telling the truth. And that, unfortunately, doesn't always work out for me, because my version of the truth includes a lot more information about myself than everyone else's does. I know all the things about myself that I want to keep hidden, and I think I feel on some level that if I actually do keep them hidden, then that's a bit of a lie. When people judge me, I want them to judge me accurately. And can they really do that if they don't know that I once locked my younger cousin in a closet when I was 7? So I offer stuff up freely, even when part of me wishes I kept it to myself. And when the occasional thing arises that I can't bring myself to share, I feel kind of weird about it. Like I'm keeping some big secret as opposed to, just not saying it. And for the most part, I'm okay with that. I like being honest. But I also think that I sometimes take it a little bit too far and end up fucking myself over a little bit. In my efforts to try to not hide my own shortcomings, I think I sometimes end up focusing on them a little too much. And that leads to all sorts of bad places for Willie. For one thing, I think that when I focus my attentions on the things I wish I could keep hidden, that causes other people to focus their attentions on the things I wish I could keep hidden. And that's unfortunate because I wish I could keep those things hidden. Also, I don't think it's great for my mental health, which now that I say that out loud does feel pretty obvious. Focusing on my shortcomings would make me feel bad enough, but what makes it worse is the fact that the way I do it also leads me to compare myself negatively to other people a little bit more than I probably should. I think on some level, I operate under the assumption that other people are exactly like me. Like in my head, I know that they're not, but in my bones, I kind of feel like they are. It actually bums me out sometimes when I meet a nice, happy, seemingly well-adjusted person because it makes me feel like shit. As far as I can see, they don't have anything wrong with them, so that must mean that unlike my deeply flawed ass, they must be perfect. And like, of course they're not perfect. 90% of the time, it's the really well-adjusted ones that are the most fucked up. They just know what to advertise and what to keep to themselves. Unfortunately, no matter how much I remind myself of that fact, it doesn't always register to me. Maybe I'm just a really trusting person, but I tend to kind of just believe what I see. It's either that, or I just don't want to try and comprehend the alternative. Like, it honestly drives me crazy when I stop to think about the fact that everyone I've ever talked to has this whole secret life that I don't know about, you know? They go home, get naked, stress about their day, primp and polish their body, do a bunch of weird, gross, embarrassing stuff, and then they head back out into the world to give me the smallest peek at the tip of all that shit. Honestly, I think that's why the idea of an OnlyFans is so enticing to so many of us. When I clicked on that video a while back, and probably when you guys clicked on this, it wasn't because any of us thought like, ooh, I'm gonna see naked people on YouTube. I think it's more that talking about an OnlyFans means talking about a side of a person that most of us will never actually get to see. And that's intriguing. Honestly, I think that's part of the appeal with actual OnlyFans. Obviously, that one does have a sexual element to it too, but I'd be lying if I said I never came across someone I follow on Twitter's OnlyFans and been curious. And like, I don't know if this makes any sense, but I think that if the people I follow posted a version of OnlyFans that was just them recording themselves talking to a therapist, I would probably rack up a significant amount of credit card debt signing up for so many. I think the closest I've ever come to signing up for an OnlyFans was someone that I can say without question I was not attracted to. There was someone who kept popping up on my Instagram with these very non-sexual videos, and they were just so boring and so nondescript that I genuinely couldn't fathom the idea that there was more to them than what I could see. Like, there are certain people who in my head, when they take off their clothes, it kind of looks like when you walk too far into a wall in a video game and you just see a lot of blank space where nothing is rendered. And that was this person. The idea that they could be naked was so unfathomable to me that I genuinely had to stop myself from paying to see it. And now that I'm saying it out loud, I might go back and do it because I am still perplexed by the idea of it. But that's also an insane thing to say because, of course, there's a lot more to everyone than what I see. We all have multiple sides to ourselves. Sides we show the world, and sides we keep hidden, and sides we reserve solely for a select group of people who we know like us and are interested in seeing more. I wish there was a better way to phrase that last one. And none of this fits into a neat little box. The same part of yourself might be completely different when viewed by two different people. And some sides of you might honestly contradict others depending on the time of the day. But ultimately, that's all still you. We're all these big, nebulous, three-dimensional masses that nobody could ever possibly know every facet of, so ultimately the you become is whatever two-dimensional shape people are able to see from where they're standing. And that's probably the biggest reason that maybe I need to learn how to keep certain aspects of who I am to myself, because at the end of the day, I am the one who is most responsible for giving shape to that shape. When I treat my flaws like hidden truths that need to be told, then that just makes them true. And I don't just mean that in the eyes of other people. I think that sometimes I get so caught up in acknowledging the bad that I start to accept the idea that those things can never get better. This is a very stupid example, but for the longest time, my tripod has been set up at this weird angle where my camera has basically been shooting up my nose. It made me look weird. It added chins to my face. It was awful. I think I look much better when shot from slightly overhead, but every time I went to change it, part of me felt wrong. I'd immediately start thinking of someone meeting me in real life and thinking about how I don't look like my videos because not everyone would be seeing me from that same perfectly positioned camera angle. So then I'd just end up keeping it the way it was and cringing a little bit as I edited footage, thinking that that's what I look like when shot from a bad angle, so that must be the real me. Which is insane, because the top-down perspective is also the real me. Changing the way I'm filmed wouldn't be lying, it would just be choosing a better truth. For the record, I did update it in my last check-in, and I don't know if anyone else can tell, but for me it really does make a big difference, and I'm mad that I waited this long to do it. That said, though, it is flattering, and don't be surprised if you meet me in real life and I'm much weirder looking than in my videos. The good is just as true as the bad, and ultimately nobody is going to see everything anyway, so why would anyone waste their time putting the stuff they want to keep hidden front and center? And I guess this is all just a long way of saying that it's okay to put your best foot forward. And in my case, that is neither feat. And like, you'd think that having said that, I'd end this video by saying that I'm actually not going to start an OnlyFans because I did give myself a pretty good out just now, but that feels like too huge of a cop-out, so I still am. If after finishing this video, you still somehow think, wow, I wonder what that guy's toes look like, you can follow the link to my Twitter below, where you'll find a link to my OnlyFans in the pinned comment. So yeah, now I just gotta figure out how to run an OnlyFans. I think that's a topic for another video, though. And yeah, that was my video. Thanks for watching. This was a weird one. Also, I feel like there's a chance that I just magically changed pants between shots, and that's because I'm recording this part like 2 weeks after I finished recording the video. I forgot to record this part, so yeah, if you're wondering why I look different, that's why. I doubt anyone noticed. But in those 2 weeks, I have gone through the majority of the steps to set up my OnlyFans, so it will be ready by the time this is available to you guys. It was weird. It's a weird thing to do. It actually does exist. There are currently like 5 pieces of content up there. There are a couple of pictures of my feet, a video of me taking a foot bath, a video of me rubbing baby oil on my feet, and probably like one photo of me like lying down where you can see that it's me, just so you know I'm not like trying to pass off other people's feet as my own, although when you see my feet you'll know that I would have picked better feet if I was trying to pass them off, because they're still not good, but they're better. And yeah, obviously I don't really know what I'm doing. A lot of the pictures are taken of me in my bathing suit, because that was the most amount of skin I could think of. Like, how much skin have I shown in public? And I was like, probably when I'm wearing my bathing suit. So I put on my bathing suit. Ugh. I don't expect a lot of people to subscribe, but if they do, then I'll keep going. I think right now my plan is that if I get at least 15 subscribers, I will post a video or a photo of my feet every day for a month and actually learn how to do it right and make a video on the subject, because I think that would be fun. But I also don't see that happening. Truth told, there are better feet to spend your money on. And if you want to support me but don't want to see what my feet look like, I totally understand. And you can do that by going to Patreon or signing up for memberships, which if that's something you haven't done yet, I'm going to sweeten the pot for you because I have a new thing that I'm offering. A lot of people have asked me how they can buy my knitting, and my answer to that is that you can't, because it's not very good. It takes me a long time and it's very shoddy. So the amount of money I would have to charge you is way more than what the thing I made would be worth. So I just keep it to myself. That said, though, I recently got the idea of doing a raffle, because that way all you'd have to do would be to pay $3 and then maybe you'd win my knitting. But if you didn't, you were only out $3. And if you did, then you didn't pay an ass ton for something that's not worth that much money. So I was like, that's a great idea. I'm going to do it. And then I found out that raffles are illegal, apparently. Like I can't do that. It's gambling. After a little research, though, I realized that one thing I can do is raffle it off for free, but put the raffle behind a paywall. So from here on out, I am going to raffle stuff off to my members, basically. So yeah, a lot of you may have noticed that I've been working on the same thing the past few videos. It's this scarf, and that's the first thing I'm going to raffle off. It's made of alpaca wool. It's my favorite wool to use. A lot of my sweaters that I wear on the channel are made of it. It's really soft. And if this is something that you would want, then all you have to do is sign up for the lowest tier of Patreon or memberships. If you don't care one way or the other, I suggest memberships, because memberships seem to be helping my channel. The more I get, the more the algorithm likes me. And I'm going to put a little thread in both of those. And if you want this, then just comment for your chance to win. And then I'll draw, and I'll send this to you if you're the name that gets drawn. The one thing I will say is, unfortunately, I can only do to the United States now because shipping is a bear. But other than that, yeah, it's not a bad little scarf. It's very homemade. I'm gonna iron it and get rid of these edges, obviously, before I send it. But I will say it's very soft, and I like it. So yeah. And yeah, I think that's my video. I might be a little ramblier than normal, because since last I recorded, I switched meds, and the new meds seem to be making me ramblier. So stay tuned for the posing section, because that'll be weird. Hello again. This one will be weird, because this whole video is weird. Should I just do like my feet? Ooh, little. No, I can't lift my legs up that high. I feel like I should just do like ooh, like ooh, ooh, like oh. It's very fascinating. Like, one thing I've been thinking about, and I don't know if I do another OnlyFans video about OnlyFans, then maybe I'll delve deeper into this. But it is interesting thinking about, like, what are people looking for with this sort of thing? Because it's like, I feel like you guys probably know what my feet look like at this point. Like, what is the, like, special thing about getting to see that? Yeah, I don't know. It's very interesting. People are very interesting. We have a lot of layers, like Shrek or an onion. Madame! I guess I could do, like, the... Oh, don't look. Wait. I feel like that just... Okay, well, no. Pretend I didn't just do that. I'm gonna say, because, like, you guys didn't see that. You still need to pay money to see my feet. I don't know. If you really want to see my feet, DM me. No. Normally I like doing that where I'm like, if you can't afford something, just DM me and I'll send it to you. But I feel like I can draw the line with that on feet pics. Although I don't really care. I don't know. I don't think I would think twice about letting people see my feet if people, because, like, I always post pictures of my feet accidentally, and then people on Twitter are like, "Free foot pic, don't do that," and I'm like, I don't care, whatever. People can be attracted to me however they want. I still don't know how many people have ever been. Never mind. I need to stop. I feel like if I talk long enough, then I just end up sounding like I have the worst self-esteem in the world, which I do. But I think it becomes much more magnified in these sections of the video because I feel like I talk so much that I just end up shitting on myself to millions of people. I was about to say I don't know anyone who's ever been attracted to me. That's not entirely true, but, like, why am I talking? Stop talking. Ooh. Okay, I have a Diet Coke can in front of my monitor. Well, why am I like... Ooh. I feel like I should try to make myself as attractive as possible in this one in particular, because I think a lot of people are gonna be like, maybe if I make myself as, like, weird looking as possible, people will be like, he's starting an OnlyFans? I don't know. I don't know how any of this works. Maybe you want to see my feet? Yeah, I'll just mug for the camera, like. And everyone will be like, yes. Who is that model? What's my better side? Let's see. There's this one. Wait. This is probably my better side. Wait, this is better. This one right here. Ooh. I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, I think my new meds are working well, but, like, there are times every now and then where I'll be like, oh, but yeah, they really do change you. Your personality is just a bunch of chemicals. Thanks for watching.